So I finally beat the new Dragon Quest monsters, the Dark Prince, and now I can give the game an honest review. This is actually the first game from the Dragon Quest franchise that I've played and completed the story for. Speaking of story, that is the first category of this review. Each category will have its own score. This is intended to help players who care more about some aspects of a game rather than others. In regards to the story, without trying to spoil anything, I'll let you know that I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. The story did not put me to sleep. Some parts seem strange to me, but I assume it has to do with cultural differences between the West and Japan. I will also note that some key events in the story help to hold up the rest of the story, and keep this 8.5 score from being lower. For visuals, I would rate the visuals at a 9, because it is Dragon Quest and not Metal Gear Solid, so I'm keeping the franchise in mind with the actual score. I did not find anything really wrong with the visuals when I keep in mind the franchise, and what console it is being played on. I also really liked how they designed the game world locations. A lot of them were really nice. As far as functionality and bugs, I would give it a 7. Not because of any bugs that I don't believe I even came across, but because of functionality. The movement for the character seems to honestly be at a bare minimum. As far as I know, you can't even run or dash in the game. Navigating through the game world can feel clunky at times, especially when trying to move near small corners. I included enjoyment as a category. I will give that score an 8. The reason for this is simple. It's because I feel like the things I liked about the game outweighed the things I disliked enough to reach that type of rating. By the end of the video, you will probably figure out what parts were most enjoyable. As far as creativity, I'll give that a 9, because when I played this game, I didn't feel like I was playing a copy and paste of any other game. In the world of modern gaming, that can be like a breath of fresh air. For game features, I will give that a 9.5, because I only had one single complaint, and that was I did not like having to go back to the paddock to change my monster team. Everything else was great. I liked the monster fusion, being able to equip clutch held items, the fast forward feature for battling, the monster information provided to the player, being able to modify your monster's skill sets through fusion. I used that last feature to give unlikely monsters a big boost to their attack or wisdom stat, making them much more viable in battle. In the category of challenge, I would give that a solid 10. The reason for this is because I felt like the game boss challenges gradually increased at the right rate, and the challenge of the game was balanced so that the player has a healthy respect for the game bosses, but not insanely challenging to the point of trying to break your Nintendo Switch or send Square Enix some hate mail. So it was a really good balance on that part. That's why I gave it a solid 10. In the category of guidance, I'll give that a 7 out of 10. While most aspects of the game are explained well, there were two aspects of the game that weren't very user-friendly. The first part, getting special monster fusions, could only be figured out by luck or by looking online at guides. The other problem involved navigating some of the dungeons. The dungeons had puzzles, but the problem was that your field of view was limited, so that you could not always see how well your actions were shaping the puzzle, which had me thinking, yo, I'm not getting paid to solve this puzzle, so I'm gonna look online because I'm not gonna spend 10 hours of gameplay on this one puzzle. Having a bad memory and dealing with a large, intricate puzzle is not a good combination. No thanks. For in-game dialogue, I would give that a 7. The dialogue did not seem robotic. Yes, the characters had emotion behind their words, but the jokes came off really cheesy, like a powder party at Chester Cheetah's house. And on top of it, it started to feel predictable. I started to feel like I knew what they were going to say half of the time, which is not a good thing. So the dialogue really didn't impress me. I'll give it a 7 because I feel like it was above average dialogue, but it wasn't really like memorable dialogue. In the category of replayability, me personally, I would give that a 6 out of 10. The reason why this has the lowest score is because this game gives you options that aren't really options, because you basically get the same results. I understand that this is a prequel and part of a solidified story plot in the Dragon Quest universe, but if you're going to offer options, then let them be real options. How about letting the player choose things that won't damage the story plot? I also don't think it would have hurt anything to allow the main character to have different clothing options outside of one or two outfits from DLC content. That's ridiculous. Okay, so when you tally up all the scores and you average them out, you get an 8.1. And I feel like overall that's fair. Dragon Quest The Dark Prince 8.1. I feel like that's a fair total score. This concludes my review of Dragon Quest Monsters The Dark Prince. Now as always, thank you all for watching and I hope you have a great day. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to subscribe and like and share. Find out what happens next time on the OFC.